Hi everyone, I am Maitri from Naturalist Beautiful Foundation, and today I have with me a phenomenal artist and a superb actor, Mr. Adil Hussain sir. Welcome sir, and thank you so much for giving us your time today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And it's a subject that I had been thinking about a lot, but I would not have profound things to say, but I would say whatever I feel I believe in.
Right, so I would like to start with your journey first and then dive into beauty standards aspect if you don't mind. So I learned that you fell in love with acting in school and then you dreamt of joining the National School of Drama. So please tell me about your journey of converting that dream into a reality.
Fell in love with acting. I didn't even realize that. To be able to actually understand that, oh, I love this, it takes time. Unlike when you fall in love with a girl or a boy, is different. The one thing which I realized till I was 12 or 13 years old, that this is what, when I go to rehearse a play or when I do a play, I just forget everything else. And that's the time I thought this is what I would like to continue to do.
Right.
And those days, of course, no Google or no smartphone. So few dear friends and senior in the town where I grew up, Walpara, they helped me to figure out, how to approach and where to go. Someone told me there's something called National School of Drama, and I thought that was a joke because I thought, how is it possible there would be an institution where they will teach you acting? I thought this is like, is too good to be true. But then it so happened that it is true, and I met someone who was a student then and who came home in Assam, which is 100 kilometers from our town, for the summer vacation. And I asked my mom, actually I stole 60 rupees from my dad's pocket and went to meet him. And he was very inspired to see this 14-year-old, coming from Gwalpara, to know about National School of Drama. So he gave me everything he had. I would be also doing the same, that if someone comes to me who's 14,
right,
who would come and traveled 100 kilometers in those days, So anyway, so that was, so he said, but first of all, you have to be at least 10 plus 2, because in those days, it used to be minimum qualification to get into National School of Drama.
Okay.
It used to be 10 plus 2. Now it is, not now, since 1991, it is, its graduation is the minimum qualification.
So you got lucky.
I got very lucky. Yeah, I got lucky. So, yeah, then
How does it feel? People have dreams and people have some goals and everybody wants to do something, but you saw something and then you did it. So how does that fire, or how does that, you must feel so proud of yourself, or you must feel something different than everybody else. What is that feeling like?
I haven't thought about it that way actually. I just feel that when I go and act, it doesn't feel that I'm working. It feels like that I'm having a picnic. Hard work, which is required in order for you to produce something which is above average. It needs a lot of hard work, but that also is. It doesn't feel like work.
No.
So-called work. People say, I want to work Monday.
Yeah.
I never feel that way, and I'm mighty proud of myself without the arrogance part of it. I'm proud in a way that, thank God, I had that quality of rebelliousness in me, that I defied all the onslaughts by by the society, all the oppositions, including my father and brothers, not all of them, but I have 4 elder brothers, at least 2 of them were completely opposed to the idea, and I understand why they were opposed. And of course the society, so when I say society, I'm not saying everyone. There were people who inspired me, who helped me, but most of it were like, oh, he's going to, in Assam they call it, ये तो vagabond बनने वाला है, you know, he'll be a good for nothing guy. So yeah, I feel very proud. I feel very inspired by people, those who have actually done, and most of the successful people that who I admire. When I say success, I'm not talking about the gloss and the glitter and the glamour part of it, but I'm talking about those who have done something on their own. And when I say on their own is also not correct, because so many people helped you on the way, but kept the focus and did what they really wanted to do. And it's almost the similar journey. Almost everybody, the rebelliousness, and they just focused on the whatever they love to do, and they wanted to go deeper into it. And that quality is very, very important, and I am so glad that I have it.
Yeah. It's inspiring that, you know, even talking to you today, it's an honor. So, sir, I've observed that you've done a lot of diverse movies, and your roles, the cinema is very different, each role. I even watched Mukti Bhavan, I've watched English, Life of Pi, Past, everything, and you have something different to offer every time in terms of what you show on screen. And how do you choose these roles, or how do you manage to stay afloat between your love for acting and doing theatre and movies? So how do you balance all of it? How do you choose your roles?
2-3 questions in one question, but I'll try to segregate it so that I can answer better. One is that diversity of roles that I had been able to do, that is also a consequence of the roles which have been offered to me, because I don't create the roles. The roles are created by the writer-director, and I have been lucky that they even conceived that this guy called Adil, who has done Ishqiya, those are the preliminary films that I did, who can also do Mukti Bhavan, the role of Rajiv, and can also be a bowl singer or a caveman who practices a tantric sex life, and also can be in English Winglish, who's a male chauvinist guy. But there's a backstory to it, that quite often after I did Agent Vinod and another film I did, Lutera, I had been flooded with offers to play a cop. Like every other film is a cop, then I realized that I know the story of Hindi film industry since my childhood. I've been watching, so I know there used to be an actor who was a brilliant actor, but he had been made to play a cop all the time. His name is Mr. Iftikhar, and there is another actor whose son is a great director called Avinav Dev. His father, Ramesh Dev Sahab, he played cops all the time. So I thought that in the film industry must have thought, we found another cop guy, he can play all the cops. So whenever those offers came to me, I said, okay, if it is a lead role, then I'm going to play. If it is a cop role, then I'm not playing it for the next 5-6 years. So no sir, अच्छा है, police का role है, हाँ, मुझे मालूम है, कितना अच्छा है. Thank you very much. Or I will charge a amount of money that they will not be able to afford me, or they would not buy me, because I don't have that market value that whatever Adil is asking for, we can give it to him. So that's how I sort of pushed all the roles which are stereotypical roles came to me, and I just waited. And even small parts which came to me which are different, than what I have done before. So those slowly established the belief in myself as an actor. Oh, I can do. And also when people, directors, writers started looking at Adil, oh, this is the same guy who played that role. Then they realized, oh, there is a versatility. And every actor who wants to play, not every actor probably, but most actors that I know, they would like to play different roles. And that's the reason probably I have become an actor and not to just play myself all the time. But Indian film industry has a habit of playing yourself.
Okay.
Almost most heroes,
Yeah.
right from Rajnikant to Mr. Bachchan, they only played themselves. There is a certain change of hardware which is like a mustache or into baldness or or beard or putting on some weight or losing some weight. These are all cosmetic changes. But I have yet to see an actor who changes something which is called the software, the inner changes, to a great extent. And I'm not saying I'm being able to do it, but that's my effort. That can I be unrecognizable and that happened to me. In India, what happens is that you go to or you want to watch a movie, and there, who is in the movie? Okay, Adil Hussain. So you already know this guy is playing that.
Yeah.
But abroad, it so happens several times with me that I am watching a movie with this person who's sitting beside me, a British director, and then Life of Pi, and then we come out for a drink, and he says, "Why are you here?" This happened in Dubai.
Okay.
I said, "Because I have a movie." I realized that he didn't recognize me. I said, "Which movie?" I said, "Life of Pi." "Oh, you were in the production?" I said, "No, I acted in the movie." "Which role?" I said, "Oh, you played the father." So those were the compliments that I cherish. I think when people don't recognize you at all, that means you have done a good job.
Correct.
So so diversity of roles, and the way I choose my roles is that when almost answered that question.
And I think a sort of bravery comes into picture, right? Because it takes you to take that step back as well as ahead to get out of your comfort zone and do a different sort of role. So that's sort of, I think, a bravery quality.
I don't think I would call it bravery, but probably from someone outside looking at it, I would call it that I should lose my sleep at night, that I should not know how I'm going to play this role. If I know, then it's boring.
Right.
If I don't know, then it's an adventure, an exploration, that you have never gone into the territory, You're getting into a jungle where you have never been before, and anything can happen at any time, and that's the sense of adventure that I love. But the fundamentals are the same. For example, since I've used the example of a jungle, that when you go to a new jungle and you don't know what kind of animals are there, you have to be focused, concentrated, alert, attentive, and aware.
Okay.
This is the fundamental thing. And then similar laws apply in a role, that you are aware, you are focused, you don't know what you have to do, but you are ready to do.
Right.
Or you are Grotowski, my most revered acting theorist and a practical and a scholar. He says resigning from not doing. That means you are going to resign from not doing. It's not that the opposite, that you're ready to do. You will do it if you have to do. You're not going to resign from
Got it.
not doing it.
Nice.
So that means you are in a neutral state, and you're ready to jump or you're ready to sleep. That's the state you are in. So when a role comes to me and I'm like, I quite often, it's not that, oh my God, it's an amazing role. I mean, those roles are not also written very well in India. When I see series from abroad, especially Scandinavian, Turkish and Israeli series, American series, or quite often, most of them are written so well. There's this depth of the role and the layers of the character. This is not, it's not white, it's grey and grey and grayer, and yet there's a sense of awareness and there's a journey which are way complex, like any human being is complex. And then I feel jealous of those actors that they get to play these amazing roles and I don't. So India needs to really buckle up in terms of writing writing complex roles. I don't see them at all, very rarely.
And I think this sort of is in collab with my next question, is that I think Bollywood has an influence on all of us in some shape or form while growing up. For example, Sholay gave us friendship goals, Jaane Tu Ya Jaane Na gave us relationship goals. But it also boils down to the fact that it also gave us a standard for your outer appearance. Most of the time, the protagonist, I would say most of the time, 99% of the time, is tall, has a fair skin tone, has flawless, immaculate skin, has abs, a lean body. And I mean, you're showing 1.4 billion people and more from outside that this is the lead role. Why is there diversity? Why is the representation in Bollywood so restricted when it comes to lead roles? I mean, why can't normal people who look normal with flaws on their skin, like all of us, be leading the roles?
It's a difficult question because I've been pondering about it, and I must admit that I haven't really delved deep into it to understand the idea of hero or heroine in India, in Indian culture, and especially in the Indian subcontinent. Ram is a hero. So is Karan and Yudhishthir. Krishna is very different. Krishna means black.
And we get to represent him as blue.
Exactly.
Why?
I know. So the idea of this immaculate body and structure probably talks about something that you have lived a healthy life and a healthy food habits, and emotionally you are healthy, and a human being would exude or radiate a certain amount of positive energies. So nobody knows how Ram actually looked like, or Krishna, for example, if they actually existed. And I believe they actually existed because it helps me. Because what Krishna said is a billion, trillion, zillion dollar advices, and I really love him as a philosopher, as a guide. And so the people, those who represented these ideas or these people, this amazing human being, if they have actually lived on earth, they have represented visually, thinking they're the positive people. So I'm just guessing, this is all guess business, because I haven't studied anthropology, I haven't studied social science, and I don't know how else to talk about it. I'm just talking from my gut. That they probably thought that, okay, if a person is such a positive person, and then probably he would have the best of the health and the healthy body. So and nowadays Ram and Hanuman are being painted. I've seen in the cars that there's really muscular Ram, even in TV series, I guess. It wasn't like that. Ram was a good looking, when I say good looking, not necessarily conventionally good looking person, but a pleasant looking person. That I can say. It's not an idea of like the jaw, what do you call it?
Jawline.
The chiseled jawline and muscular six-pack body. You don't need to do that. I think that's where it comes. Your question which you asked me, there where I disagree with the current idea of beauty or handsomeness, if I can say. You talked about height, you talked about size. Now I am 6'1.5". I can't help it because this has been genetic or something, and I am not responsible for it. But people, those who are say 4.5 feet or 4 feet, even those who are lesser than that in terms of height, they are doing great jobs as well.
Exactly.
And now I'm coming to, so a 6.5 feet or 6 feeter not necessarily would be a good actor or a good artist. But in Indian context, when it comes to India, they might, one of them may get a better opportunity than a person who's shorter than him or her. That troubles me a lot. My idea of beauty is how transparent you are as a person, how truthful you are, and how brave you are, and how hateless you are, and how shameless and how fearless you are. I would call that person, the man, woman, transvestite, whatever, LGBTQ, all of them, it doesn't matter which gender, which community, which creed, caste, skin color you have, the beauty is of your inner being. And there's a beautiful sentence, I don't know who wrote it, but someone told me that the squirrel looks like a squirrel because of the squirrelness of the squirrel. So that means a human being, the way I'm looking now, because of my Adilness. That name is also given, I am nameless, so are you. The inner spirit, the spirit that you possess is what finally becomes of you, what finally, the way you are physically looking.
Yeah.
So that is also the Indian understanding of beauty, like Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram.
Yeah.
Satya is truth, and truth is God, and above God it's saying truth is God, and God is beautiful.
Yeah.
So if we stick to this particular idea of the definition of beauty, then the beauty which is being practiced in not only in India, across the globe, the outer beauty, it has its place. I'm not saying it doesn't have its place, but very flimsy place,
Correct.
very superficial place.
Correct.
So beyond that, the idea of beauty we are not practicing, and that's very unfortunate. I have been offered several times to advertise for Fair and Lovely, Fair and Glow. And I just started laughing when my agent or my manager calls me, sir, there is an ad. Of course, I haven't done ad of a lot of other products which I disagree, for example.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I don't have insurance. I believe that nobody can insure my life except for the divine forces. Nobody can insure my life.
Okay.
So why should I give in to the fear, if I die? I went and I asked my wife. My wife says, he says, you believe that I will go to the bank and withdraw money for your death? I mean, the money, which will be the price for your death. You think I will ever do that? I haven't thought of like that. I thought it would be good to have some money. He said, no, we will see what happens. So a lot of ads which came for insurance companies, medical creams, or even medicines, or I have said no, and I have lost a lot of money. It's not a question of I've lost. I don't even think like that. So I'm like, no, this is not. I'm not going to do that. So the idea, the disservice which is being done to the society by focusing on the outer beauty is probably unforgivable, according to me, because you are guiding an amount of people in India, and which is a huge amount of young people, and which is probably, India is probably the only country where the percentage of youth is way more than any other country, that you are misguiding them to focus themselves on the outer beauty instead of talking about or infusing them, help them to imbibe the idea of inner beauty, which is probably India is one of the most rich, one of the richest country in the world in terms of the idea of the beauty that we have.
Exactly. So true.
Yeah.
Rightly said, like, in my mind, in your words.
Which is very sad and is tragic that this is what is happening.
So to give you a statistic, the Indian fairness industry is worth 4,000 crores.
What are you saying?
Yeah, treatments, masks, lotions, everything, it's 4,000 crores. And when we're telling these many people via all media platforms that you're not good enough, that you won't be accepted if you're not fair, I'm not saying fair is not beautiful. I'm saying everyone,
that is not only the beautiful thing.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're running businesses worth crores and getting that idea in people's mind that only fair is beautiful, then it's so toxic.
Yes,
what do you think can really change this pre-existing phenomena that fair is beautiful and the existing definition of beautiful itself? Right now, I really think India thinks fair is beautiful because even the shade cards that our advertisements show is once the person is going from a lighter shade to a darker shade, the smile, shortens. And once you're fair is when you're getting married, when you're getting a job. The advertisements are designed like that. And it's happening for decades. It's at home, it starts at home, it starts at school with bullying. And it's very, very toxic when you actually go and talk to people. I went into schools and colleges and had conversations with young people, and they say that, I stopped playing football because my friends used to call me Kalu Kalu. My friends used to say that I'm not good enough, and I stopped hanging out with them. And it's not just, something superficial, but it leads to mental health issues like social stigma, anxiety, and in some cases depression as well. So what message would you like to give the youth who are right now struggling with their own self when they wake up in the morning and look at themselves in the mirror? They think that I'm not meant for this world because of the way I look.
I don't know if I have any word of wisdom. The only thing which came to my mind as you were saying, I was looking at your eyes, and they say that the eyes are the windows to the soul. If I'm like, I had suffered this, I've gone through the same thing, if I can call it suffering or not, to kala hai acting kaise karega, several times in my life, which had been detrimental also. But as I said, I had been a rebellion, but not everybody is like that. Not everybody has that, the fighting spirit. Everybody probably should have, ideally, but if they don't have, they go into depression and mental health issue, emotionally. They are they're tortured. So I would say, I will come to what word of wisdom later, but I would like to say that Hindi film industry, Tamil film industry, that way, there are a lot of dark people.
Yeah.
You see, and they are not so-called ideally like good-looking the way
the
that
ideal representation.
Hindi film industry, because that's still they're going towards that. I've now seen that they have these six packs. It used to be not like that. It used to be they would be very chubby,
and
voluptuous women, men.
Correct.
And it used to be like that. Now I have seen the Tamil heroes are still, now they have got these biceps and six packs and all that. I'm not saying those are bad things. The only thing is that it cannot be idealized. You should not idealize. When cinema is probably the most powerful medium in the world, and it reaches millions and millions of people. And it is important, the filmmakers, the actors, the writers, the people, those who put in money into the film, the producers, distributors, they should have that sense of social responsibility, that what is the message that they are actually giving and how complex it is, the impact of it, the implications, the far-reaching implications, the consequences are manifold. And I don't think they think like that at all. I'm horrified to see certain actors in Hindi film industry had actually done ads for Fair and Lovely.
So many.
Men and women both, I think. And I was very surprised that didn't it occur to them like, what am I doing? So I don't know what to tell them. I can only tell them that be wise, be respectful to to yourself. Please be conscious of the consequences that your act is propagating. And what else? Probably you don't need so much money to live a joyful and peaceful life. Don't have to do those ads. Don't do it. As simple as that. If I can, without having a huge amount of money in my bank, if I can refuse, I think anybody can refuse.
And it's so. I mean, I don't think anybody has to even give it a second thought
about
it.
It
should just come naturally to you.
Exactly. But what you think should come naturally is for you, 22-year-old person. I'm saying age has nothing to do with wisdom, but certain wisdom comes naturally when you grow older because you've lived life a little bit longer on the planet. Certain things you realize, with time it will go. So which came to you naturally, it might need a lot of hard work on for other people to understand.
Right.
And understanding is one thing, and practicing that understanding
Correct.
is another thing. I'm surprised by a lot of actors, sports persons selling things. Probably they have the compulsion, I don't know. They might use the money for, social work, or they're donating the money to something good. But I wonder how is it possible to sell at least these things which are obviously harmful
Correct.
for the society.
So true. So we spoke about height actually, and till today, beauty pageants have a height criteria.
Yeah.
Which is 5'5" or 5'6", and again, 1.4 billion young people are being told that unless you're not XYZ height, you're not beautiful enough. You cannot represent the whole India.
Yeah.
So let's say Miss XYZ.
Yeah.
Why is Miss XYZ just above a particular height? What if someone's 4'4" and has all the qualities to be a Miss XYZ?
Yeah.
And where does this change start? Do you really think it's going to change? So, I mean, honestly speaking, where do you see in the near future if things will change, or what would help us, young people like us, catalyst to change?
I just can give you one example in response to your question. I was one of the judges of a beauty competition in Assam, in Northeast. I said I would agree to do this only if I am allowed to say what I have to say after I finish after the competition. So I said, yes, sir, sure. So we agreed upon a particular person who got the crown. Then I said in my speech, I said, I am surprised and I am horrified by the fact that you have a height limitation, the what do you call that? Criteria of how tall one has to be.
Yeah.
I urge and I request you should remove it immediately.
Wow.
That's what I said. And everybody clapped. Everyone, including the people, those who won or those who haven't, those who were not considered for the first 3 runner-up prizes. Everybody agreed with me. And I think it is slowly, like what you are doing right now, you're talking and people hopefully would listen, whoever listens, and it would be a drop in the ocean, but nevertheless it's a drop in the ocean.
Sure.
And that I spoke up there, in public, and probably nobody showed that coverage on the television. On television, they haven't shown it, but I spoke. I said it. I know I spoke, and the people, those who organized it, they came to me and said that this is also, we disagree, but this is what it is. I'm like, it should not be, So the question that you asked me, that you asked me to say some word of wisdom in the previous question. The only thing which I started saying that when I look at you, if I look at your eyes, then I don't have to do anything about the rest of it.
True.
So if someone who looks at the mirror, who is so-called shorter or wider or chubbier or not conforming to the beauty standards of the current society, look at yourself and look at your eyes. Don't look at your nose or cheeks or jawlines. It's not necessary. If you look at yourself into your eyes, because we do this, I'm not saying it is philosophical, I actually do it.
Okay.
In our acting workshop, the first thing we do that we stand in a circle and we only look at each other's eyes for 20 to 25 seconds. And then we acknowledge the person, not the person which is outside, but which we can probably reach through the eyes, which is probably, the eyes are the lenses, so beyond the lens, the person is there. And then we start, so it takes around almost 45 minutes to finish looking at each other, because we each of us have to look at each other, and 20 people, for 25 to 30 seconds. And then the dynamics completely changes.
Wow.
And I know it personally, that I fall in love with each and everybody. Doesn't matter what gender they are. So when I say fall in love, it's the beauty which is radiated through the eyes. And I have seen most of the people, they fall in love with each other. Yeah. Within 2 hours of work, they hug each other so tightly and they stop looking at the outer beauty. So I would suggest that just do that practice, and you have to probably grow a thick skin.
Yeah.
and read about what beauty actually is.
Yeah.
And be fearless, be hateless towards people, those who hate you, and be shameless.
And so, like, have you ever faced any sort of rejection, or have you ever felt unwelcomed because you didn't fit into the ideal representation of a hero?
Initially, yes. Now I'm known, so it's different. How you look, even what you wear. Sometimes, quite often, it doesn't matter. But that is there all the time. We have it ingrained within. I call it when we express ourselves through a lesser self. We have a larger self also.
Yeah.
Like when we look at each other's eyes and when we just be in a quieter, joyous space within, then we find everything around pleasant. Even someone is looking at you with a lot of, contempt. Okay, that's his problem or her problem, not my problem. Yes, of course, I have. And that troubled me and bothered me, but I have learned over the years that I cannot control my outside surroundings. I can only work on myself. And because everything that I'm experiencing here.
Yeah.
Not there.
Right.
You may look at me with a lot of love or with a lot of content, or but I am experiencing it. I am interpreting it the way I believe, according to my idea of what you might be thinking, not exactly what you are thinking.
Right.
So that also creates a lot of problem. We misunderstand a lot. We misunderstand the look of, like for example, I came in and I saw you guys shy probably, and I did not consider that as shyness. I felt, oh, these people are not warm.
Okay.
Then it's, oh, there. So we can interpret so many things in so many ways.
Right.
He doesn't. He or she never spoke to me properly. Then my wife says, but no, she was extremely shy and she was overwhelmed. I was like, oh, really? Which makes me feel terrible because I'm misunderstanding, and which is bound to happen. But apart from these things, the idea of beauty and the way you have to tackle the world, probably that you must equip yourself with a lot of wisdom that consolidate the idea of beauty within yourself, what it is. Study the idea of beauty by great saints. I would say Sri Aurobindo, the mother, Ramakrishna Paramahansa Deva, Yogi Paramahansa Yogi, the book which is called Autobiography of a Yogi, Lahiri Mahasaya. There are great many writers and great saints in the world, and study their idea of beauty. Sri Aurobindo has a book on the idea of beauty. So read that and do not sell yourself into the idea of beauty propagated by some MBA holders who has no brain whatsoever. They have brains, but they only have the business brain. You know, they look at things, human beings, as products. They don't look at you as human beings. So why would you even listen to them? So they have failed till today to sell insurance to me. Imagine all the youth in the world, if not all, but at least 80%, 60%, 50% youth in the world, if they refuse to buy branded products, what's going to happen? All branded products. They are going to make their own trousers or shirts or dresses they like to make, and refuse to buy Gucci and whatever other Giorgio Armani or anything. You don't give a damn to those products. What's going to happen? The business will collapse. Yeah. So be dignified. Just be dignified with yourself and wear whatever you like, but be aesthetically pleasing. And study aesthetics not from somebody else, but from the tradition that we have in India. Study the Mragamala paintings. Study the Gond paintings from the tribal villages. They have an amazing sense of aesthetics. And there are so many of them. From each and every state has their idea of beauty and sense of aesthetics, how to design clothes, what to wear, what kind of colors they like. If you go from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, there are thousands of traditional clothings that you have. Why don't you wear them?
And I think also including your circle with people of diversity.
Exactly.
If you have only certain sort of friends or some sort of colleagues, it's going to represent that you are probably not that diverse.
Yeah. Diversity is the key and one of the best ways to open up your horizon of understanding of people, of society, of the world. I mean, I traveled across the country for 2 years on my motorbike, just to understand, just to see. I stayed with the tribals in Chhattisgarh, in Bastar district, and from the remotest village where till then, till 1996, they haven't seen cars or money. They had no idea of money or cars or matchbox even. And their beauty, when I saw them, I was like, oh my God, one smile from this old man heals me. That is beauty for me, not what you wear or what brand you wear. It never bothered me. Thank God I had great teachers, and I hope that all of you get great teachers. And if not, then nowadays it's so much easier to go and search the idea of beauty by the great saints of India. Why not? Why won't you do that?
True. So coming to one of the few last questions.
Yes, please.
You worked in international cinema.
Yes.
So how is it different there, the way you look at someone from the outer appearance perspective? What is the outlook like over there?
The hierarchy, that's the first thing which comes to my mind, that India is a very feudal country, and we practice feudalism in our every house in a way. Like she or he standing behind the camera would treat the person who comes to sweep your floor differently. The one who opens the door for you, or the person who drives your car, we treat them differently. And somehow we feel they're lower than us, and that is another thing that probably we could talk about, and somebody else, another NGO should be established, that let's establish the equality as a human being first. So we live in a feudal society, and most of us practice feudalism. knowingly or unknowingly, we do. How we call the person, who is driving the rickshaw, not only the two-wheeler, on the not mechanized rickshaw, but the other rickshaws. I have done it myself. So now, since last 25 years, it's different for me. Because I grew up seeing that. I thought it was normal. Then I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? So that is practiced in film industry as well. Because people from film industry or the political class, they haven't landed from Mars. They're the product of a society. Yeah. And product of a society means they studied in the same system that we studied, and in our study there is no wisdom involved. There are only information involved which will help you to get a job, to earn money, and that's the worst kind of education that you can ever have. And we practice it, and things are changing slowly now. I have seen now the liberal arts is coming in, you can take within next 2 years, I think anybody can take any subject in the college, and thank God that's happening. So in the West, that idea of equality, there is hierarchy, but there is no arrogance in the hierarchy. If someone is driving your car, he has got his dignity, and I treat him equally. I would treat my director. I might love my director more because I know that person, and I might be more affectionate, and I don't know this person who is driving the car, but there is no looking down at him or her at all. So that I love. And when I go and work in foreign countries, in foreign production, you go get your own coffee. The Norwegian, when I was working in the Norwegian film, the Norwegian, I heard Norwegian Prime Minister makes his own coffee and invites his friends and all, goes to a restaurant, normal restaurant, not even with the secretary, just a driver and the person. And the Danish Prime Minister, goes to a restaurant and everybody says, hi Prime Minister, hello, hi. And nobody gives a damn. This is the Prime Minister, he's doing his job or she's doing his job, I'm doing my job.
He's a human.
Human, and everybody is significant or everybody is insignificant.
Wow.
I'm more significant than you. If anybody thinks like that, then there is something wrong with that person.
True. So true.
Yeah. So that's the difference I find in Indian production. That is very feudal, and producers, directors think they are the bosses. There are some directors, they don't think like that. They treat very well from the spot boy to the other. But most of them are not.
Okay. And in terms of outer appearance, for example, like I said, in Bollywood you'd find protagonists who are mostly of a sort of representation. But for example, we natives fail to embrace our own color, but people from the West adore our diversity.
So it's very complex. There's no black and white about it, because like when I first went to Europe, that's the first time I realized, oh, my color is good. I remember I took off my clothes. I was about to sleep with I can be very frank, my wife knows. So my first Western girlfriend, blue-eyed and blonde girl, and I took off my clothes and she said, oh my God, you look like chocolate. I was like, oh, is that bad? No. I was like, wow, okay. This was the first time I felt that my color has some validity, and how can I, she was saying that, how can I get a color like you? And so I was thinking, wow, this is just a perception, it's crazy how there are things, but at the same time, Hollywood, especially the superhero movies and other, they have the same, 5-6 packs and biceps and all that. And that is the idea of a hero. But there are amazing amount of films made in America which we don't get to see. In the independent cinema in Europe, in all the countries in Europe, in probably all the states in India as well, that we now get to see because of this app called Mubi, or certain films are being taken by Netflix, but Netflix must do a better job. They are not doing it, or Amazon for that matter. They should scout out these amazing filmmakers from across the country and buy their products, giving them incentive to make better films. so that they fulfill the responsibility, the social responsibility of India. So those films are there, but the so-called the mass films, like 3 or 4 films that I have seen now, KGF or some, I forgot the names. I managed to see some parts of it, and again the idea of the hero with the, you know, the masculinity, and they are selling like hotcakes. And so we have great responsibility, people like you and me, to change the idea of what hero is, who hero is, and like the person who planted the forest in Assam, Jadhav Payeng. You know, he is one of the greatest heroes that I know. Equally valid with the person who has gone and fought in Kargil and saved our country. You know, I would consider both of them in equal, and the people, those who are tilling the lands and growing food for us in this heat, 45-50 degrees, they are the heroes as well. Equally should be admired by as much as we admire the militaries who go and fight in protecting our country. So we have to change the idea of heroes. And I hope it is changing in the independent film circuit. But in the mainstream films, which are being made and celebrated, I find them very problematic.
Yeah, and I think the audience should also be accepting.
Audience cannot be, you cannot expect the audience to accept it like that. Because we have created the audience. Like the market economy works, that there is no need for a product. You create the product and create the need. That's how it works.
Yeah, the wiring, the brain.
You know it, you are a product manager. So how product is not even sometimes required, but we create the product. Like for example, I heard, I'm not sure if it's true or not, that Indians were not drinking so-called tea, but the Britishers first distributed tea free of cost, and then we are hooked. Now we buy it. So that happens quite a lot with products, and we have been feeding Indian audience since probably 50 years. Before, there were amazing films were being made when Guru Dutt and Balraj Shahani and Dilip Kumar Sahab, they were there, and we feed them trash. And we always, most of the films were targeting the lowest common denominator, the places in the body which is easily stirrable, you know, the sex and violence and fear. So we sold that product, and they are now hooked. It's like eating KFC and McDonald's and fast food. It is good it is amazingly tasty on the tongue, but if you keep eating it, you become an unhealthy person. You know that film called The Big Sick? No, The Sick. There's a guy who experimented eating McDonald's burger for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and how his body deteriorated completely. So, and now people do not know that if you keep eating junk food, you will be an unhealthy person. So junk films are unhealthy, and we can see nowadays in the society how people are volatile emotionally. They can get into fight easily. There are mob lynching happening. There are unrest, rioting, and people are intolerant in so many ways. I'm not saying it happened only in last 10-15 years, but it is they are the product of last 40-50 years. It has got far-reaching consequences. So films, the idea of beauty, the idea of wisdom, the idea of what a human being could be, not what they are now. So it will take a lot of time. It should start at the nursery level, and then education. Right. And education, as I said, nowadays probably it is changing, but it has no sense of wisdom in it. It's only information about how to get a job, and make you a world-wise person, you know, worldly person, not a wise person.
Absolutely.
I can keep going on, so it will take 2 hours. So now he has become a Hanuman with the gada on the shoulder.
So that's all I had to talk about Wiki Standards. But if you want to say some last words to the audience who are going to watch it, who again want to have that one thing that would inspire them or change their lives in the terms that they look at themselves.
Yeah, well, I think the only thing I can say is that don't get sold don't sell yourself to the market. Market is trying to buy you, buy your attention, buy your focus, buy your concentration. Don't sell it. It's not worth it. You experiment anything. Don't even take my word for it. My father told me that. I said whether I practice this or that. He said that don't practice this or that till you have practiced both and found it to be true for yourself. And I think it is very important that don't be blinded by gloss and glitter. Study, read a lot. As I already said, amazing amount of wisdom that we have in Indian culture. Indian culture is not what you can get on WhatsApp messages. You put it into the trash, flush it into the toilet, go and find real books written by the greatest of saints of India, greatest of scholars of India, and then you set your idea of beauty and dignity of being a human being. Practice the greatest quality of a human being, which are compassion, love, empathy, integrity, unconditional love. These are the greatest quality of being a human being, propagated by the great masters of the country since thousands and thousands of years. Don't get sold and bought by these multinational companies. Don't do it.
Thank you, sir. So that's all for today. And so I'm so glad that you use your influence and power over people in the right
I don't
direction.
have any power.
We believe that you
I don't use my power.
I mean, it's great that you're using it in the right direction, and to be able to be at this position where you can run behind money, like you said, by choosing the wrong products versus actually coming and sitting here and giving us your time to talk about something that's important.
This is the least I can do. The least, yeah. I wish I could do more.
It's so inspiring, and I wish more people like you exist.
No, there are people. You have to find them.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.